Hello, good morning. Welcome back to Forever United TV, everybody. Your morning update show live at 8 o'clock. Tuesday, the 5th of November. Happy Bonfire Night, Guy Fawkes Night. However you're celebrating it tonight, be careful out there, everybody. Obviously, first of all, before your day gets started, let's get into what is happening with Manchester United. What is the news going around the tabloids and all the reports within the media this morning? It is all built up to, obviously, Ruben Amorim's last game for Sporting in the Champions League against Manchester City tonight. We will be watching that later. Don't forget, link is in the description for that watch along later on this evening, everybody, so make sure you're tuned in for that. But we are mainly talking about Ruud Van Nistelrooy and rumours going around that there is some form of communication already had, and it is looked upon confidently that Ruud Van Nistelrooy will be staying on as Manchester United coach, or in some capacity, as he has stated in many of his post-match and pre-match press conferences and interviews. He wants to stay on. It looks like Ruud Van Nistelrooy could be staying on at Manchester United to help Ruben Amorim build the coaching dream team and help rebuild Manchester United's team. We're going to go into the players' side of things and reports on that and what's been said. Obviously, I will be at Manchester United tomorrow, so we can ask around and see what information we can get ahead of the press conference for Ruud Van Nistelrooy ahead of the game against PAOK on Thursday. We should have media access tomorrow, so we're going to get some inside info from around Carrington and find out what's happening there. Maybe ask a few members of staff how the vibe is and what's going on. Will they tell us whether Ruud's going to stay or not? No, probably not. But let's just sort of like gauge the vibe a little bit, shall we? But no, there are reports going around and some speculation across social media and media sources that Ruud is staying. Some even stating that Ruud Van Nistelrooy was implementing some form of Amorim-style setup against Chelsea when looked at in detail from that game at weekend. Personally, it looked very Ten Hag-ish to me, but they have broke it down. We'll have a little discussion on that as well. We'll talk about some transfer updates and what's going on as well. Look ahead to the game a little bit and who might be back and who we might play in this game for the Europa League, which we desperately need to win. Still winless in the Europa League. Let's not forget that. That is a that is a real sickener for all Manchester United fans right now. We do need to get a win on the board and climb that table, safely get into the qualification for that. But yes, welcome along, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well on this Tuesday. Looking ahead with excitement with two more games under Ruud Van Nistelrooy before the inevitable official unveiling at United with Ruben Amorim. The countdown is on. 6 days till we have a new manager in the house at Manchester United. Head coach. Stop saying manager, Adam. It's not allowed. Well, it is. You can say what you want, but official status, official sort of title for Ruben Amorim is head coach, as we said the other day. But let's get into what is going on. As you can see at the bottom of your screen there, the last game for Ruben Amorim sold out in minutes. His last ever game. Obviously, it's his former club Braga as well. So you'd have thought there'd been a lot of people involved, a lot of people wanting to be there for that one. Obviously, he has an affiliation with Braga, and then obviously Sporting, his last ever game for them as manager. Emotional day ahead there for Ruben Amorim, but it is all done and dusted this weekend. And Ruben will be a Red by the 11th of November. I can see the chat getting excited already. Welcome along to the morning show. We are just feeding you all of the news and updates that are going on. I'm going to get into the Ruud Van Nistelrooy stuff straight away, first of all. And I want all of your input on this. I'm going to give you a good chance this morning to actually get your thoughts across on this. I've put a poll up already when it comes to Van Nistelrooy and whether you think he should go. I'll just put it in there. Ruud Van Nistelrooy, keep or move on. They're your two options. 55% of you already have said keep. 56%, that's moving on quite nicely right now. Get voting on the poll, everybody, please, and get your comments in. Of course, make sure if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button as well to make sure you miss out on none of this Manchester United news. I can see plenty of people saying their piece in the chat already. I love that. Keep them coming in. So, circulating around social media, there are rumours that United have... well, not United, but Ruud Van Nistelrooy, obviously. We know that he has just been putting himself out there. He has been calling out to Ruben Amorim. He is looking forward to the manager coming in and working alongside him. We've talked about the possibility of him having sit-down talks with Ruben as of next week when he takes charge of Manchester United. Obviously, with it being international break, there'll be plenty of time to sit down and sort of, not so much reflect, but look ahead and start planning with certain things. And I think it's actually right. In a way, this is why I don't think United had too much of a problem with Ruben Amorim coming in when he did. When you look at it, if Vinicius are actually going to pay to take off I think it was 20 days in total off that notice period that Ruben Amorim had to serve after his contract clause was triggered. If you're going to pay that much, you might as well have just paid for the last 10, wouldn't you? But no. I think what they've done, they've scrimped and scraped and saved themselves a few more pennies. I mean, Jesus, we are scraping the barrel with that. But you know what anything else like in terms of cutting corners and like cutting them costs down. So they weren't bothered about him coming in because obviously it's international break. The games that Ruud had in line for these 4 games that we're in the middle of now, which was obviously Leicester in the Cup, Chelsea League, PAOK Europa League, and then Leicester again in the league on Sunday. You'd have thought, nice games, 4 home games for Ruud, no sort of animosity or anything like that, no sort of trepidation. Maybe the Chelsea one, but look, it paid off a bit because we got through the Chelsea game without any real damage. Let's just say that. We move on from there, obviously, but I feel like where we're at right now is that we can get these games out of the way. We can just give Ruben that sort of softener and say, look, we respect your decision to want to actually give Sporting everything you've got before you go. Out of respect for him, they've given him them 4 days, them 4 games. He's won 2 of them already. Hopefully he wins the next 2 and gets the send-off he wants. It's sort of like, I feel like sending the message out to Ruben Amorim from the club. It's like we respect what you've done. We want you, yes, desperately. We want you in now. But we want you to obviously feel comfortable and with that, play these last 4 games, manage these last 4 games for Sporting, then come into Manchester United. So they're really softening up Ruben Amorim a little bit in doing this as well. But obviously they know that Ruud is there. And Ruben Amorim has been watching these games. We know he's been watching these games. It's been reported in all the tabloids. I mean, why wouldn't you? You are now Manchester United manager. You have to be watching these games. So he's watched Chelsea. He's probably watched the Leicester game back as well. And he'd be watching Ruud Van Nistelrooy operate, talk, speak out to the media, talk about the players. Look, everyone would have been filling Ruben Amorim with information right now. As a head coach leading into Manchester United, he's going to be flooded with tons of information coming in about Van Nistelrooy, about the team. His staff will probably be doing their work already, looking at the games as well. They will be analysing absolutely everything. And I think United have just put Van Nistelrooy into the window. They don't want to let go of Van Nistelrooy. Like I said, if they're going to scrimp and scrape about trying to save 10 days off that notice period for Ruben Amorim and not pay the full whack to get him in sooner, then they're not going to really want to get rid of Ruud Van Nistelrooy and his wages. It will be really interesting to see what happens with the other coaches after this week is finished as well, whether they go. It's all talk about Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Rennie Harker and the goalkeeping coach, set-piece coach, and everyone who was new at Manchester United who came in this summer, there's no word at all on them and what is happening. All of the talk is about Van Nistelrooy. Everything is revolving around him and whether he will stay at Manchester United. Nothing else. So I think we can safely say that there's going to be quite a few coaches, staff members leaving Manchester United by the end of this week with the amount of staff and team that's coming along with Ruben Amorim. So expect them to go. But the players have come out and spoken. Sky were reporting yesterday about Van Nistelrooy, his affair with the players, what he's actually like with the players, how he communicates with the players, and they are all happy with Ruud Van Nistelrooy. This is what we said when Ruud first came in the summer, or when the news came around. I remember speaking about him. I remember talking about that language barrier, which there really isn't with Ten Hag, but he struggled with the communication side of things. And I thought, you know what, he's perfect for Eric to come in and bridge that gap from communication from him to the players. He said that the players actually do like the way that Van Nistelrooy approaches them, how he communicates with them, is the messages that he relays to them and how he gets it across, I think is where the players are actually at and why they are fully interested, fully invested in Van Nistelrooy. I think we've seen a reaction from the players. I think we've seen first team players and obviously senior players at Manchester United really pull up the sleeves over the last week under Van Nistelrooy in them couple of games and knuckle down and get down to business. They've really shown some professionalism, I feel, this week, some of them players. And it's because of Van Nistelrooy. He demands massive amounts of respect. And when you're given the power, like he has been, to speak to these players and be in control of them, there's only one message that Van Nistelrooy is going to relay to that team right now. It's look at that crowd. Look how much that crowd has been starved. Look at that fan base that you've got there and where you are in the league. That's the only message that he was putting across. You can tell. The system is the same. You cannot change anything in the space of 2 weeks in terms of teaching these players anything different, knowing that another manager's coming in. It's just going to complicate things. Look, all he's done is surefied things up. We took a couple of chances and we've got the results that we needed. We said last night, didn't we? All we needed was Van Nistelrooy to get through these 4 games and get on with it. Like, let's move to Ruben Amorim. Minimal damage. I think we will beat PAOK on Thursday. I think we will. It may not be a pretty game, but I think we will get the win at Old Trafford. And I think we will beat Leicester at weekends. I know it's a big if and a but. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk against either side, but I think we will, by hook or crook, scrape over the line and get the results that we need. Look, it's all about just getting results on the table more than anything right now. Again, it's like in between the last 2 international breaks, Manchester United have only managed to get 7 points from the 4 games available. That is mid-table form for United. It needs to be better. And we only get the 7 points if we actually beat Leicester on Sunday. And that's the same as what Erik ten Hag did in his time. Obviously, the cup games and everything that's in between, yes, you can sort of get them. And I think Van Nistelrooy, if he wins against PAOK, then we look at that and we would say, this time in between the international break, we've done a little bit better because we've beaten Leicester in the cup. We've won a cup game. If we can beat PAOK, there's another cup game that we've won. Obviously, we drew with Fenerbahce already, but still, you see where I'm going with it. Beforehand, we didn't get them cup wins, and we got the same amount of points in the league. It just goes into the Amorim era with a little bit more of a high, and United actually not a million miles away, for God's sake. Like, we have to beat PAOK and Leicester, surely. Even with Ten Hag, we'd be saying the same thing right now. So, I think what's happened here is we've seen what Van Nistelrooy's made of. Ruben Amorim would have been watching in. And this is where these reports are coming from, I feel. Van Nistelrooy has said everything about talking to Ruben Amorim and having a good communication with the club and what's going on. He's made his stance and he wants to stay at Manchester United and help out. We know this. I reckon the player side of things is going to push this over the line, and this is why these rumours have started to circulate about Ruud staying. I think that's where it's going. The players saying that they are happy with Van Nistelrooy and how he is with them. You've got a lot of senior players at that football club that you're going to have to get on board in a short period of time if you're Ruben Amorim right now. You're going to have to get into the Bruno Fernandes, the Casemiros, these types of players, somehow turn Marcus Rashford around. I don't know how, but he's going to have to do it some way. I got no idea how he does it or how he gets Marcus Rashford on board. Rashford looks like he just doesn't want to be there at the moment. To me, he looks like a player that needs a move away from Manchester United still. It just doesn't. I think someone made a great comment last night saying that Rashford doesn't look like he's enjoying his football. Excuse me. And that's always a worrying sign. And yes, a new manager can revitalise a player. He can sort of get into that player and go, look, I believe in you. I said this about putting arms around Ahmad, about other players that are not getting game time that you want to use. He's got a lot of work to do when he comes in. And he just walks into this international break, into Manchester United. You've got Ruud Van Nistelrooy sat there. And all he's going to do is just start talking about every single player. He's going to get all the information he needs firsthand off Van Nistelrooy. And it, I feel, is, even if he doesn't stay on in the summer, Van Nistelrooy, if he just sees out this season and then a decision's made in the summer, I feel right now, for the next 6 months of what we need Amorim to be performing in, Van Nistelrooy stays. If he goes on at the end of the summer to do another job somewhere else because he's performed well as an assistant coach or in whatever capacity coaching-wise under Amorim he has been doing throughout the rest of this season, then fair enough. I think we can see that. But this season, I feel, if I was Amorim, and I think this is what a lot of the rumours are saying right now, you can see that there possibly might have been communication already from the reports between both Ruud and Amorim. Honestly, right now, if I was Ruben Amorim, I would be shocked. If I'm looking at Amorim and this situation right now, I'll be shocked if he hasn't already communicated with Van Nistelrooy. I just think he's talking about it too much, Ruud, and I feel like he is. he's just mentioning moving on to this next phase, staying at United and helping out nearly every single time. And it's all gearing towards a new manager coming in. He said that the other day after the game. It's like, now, once we get through these games, we move on to the next manager coming in, and we all help out and try and move forward again and build from there and just keep on continually making Manchester United better. These are the same words that are coming out of Van Nistelrooy constantly every single time. And I feel like communication has already been had there, made with Ruben Amorim. And I feel like, and what some people were saying, and I didn't see it, but there were some reports that came out of a few tabloids, and they set up a tactics set up as to some form of like donut-shaped team. I don't know what they meant by it, but just using the word donut. I think it was a bit of clickbait on that side of things. But in terms of how he's set up with his players, very similar to what Ruben Amorim. I'm not saying that Amorim's telling Ruud how to set up his team. I don't think there's anything in that. But if you were Van Nistelrooy and you wanted to convince a new manager coming in that you are worth keeping on and to be part of this team, then you're definitely getting into that on the pitch, aren't you? You're going to set players up in a similar way. Like, Van Nistelrooy's not stupid. He knows what's coming. He knows how Amorim is going to play. He knows what style, he knows what system, he knows what formations he plays. Every manager does this. This is what they do. They study, and they look at everything. So he will know. And if he can implement a couple of little changes into the style of play or the system as such in games that he has got in charge of United right now, he's probably just going to do it to show, look, oh yeah, look there, he's got an understanding of what's going on. I can help. I know it's like just far out there and it's not even really significant, and Ruben Amorim probably won't even look at that in detail properly, but little things he can do just to say, look, I can work with you. This is definitely something that I understand as well. But whichever way you look at it, whichever way you sort of break it down in terms of like how Manchester United have been playing, what Ruud Van Nistelrooy can bring off these few games, how he can help Ruben Amorim, it's the communication side. It's knowing the players. And keep him on for 6 months is all I'm saying. That's all he needs to do. And I think Ruben Amorim, personally, I'm going to go with this as my sort of bet. I reckon Ruud will leave, but I think he'll go in the summer. I think he'll move on. And I think it will be for the rest of this season that Ruben Amorim keeps Van Nistelrooy as an assistant in some form in his coaching team. I think that's what we're going to see throughout the rest of this season. I hope it's that, and I think that makes complete sense. But that's how when I look at it, I read the reports, I listen to what Van Nistelrooy's saying. I don't think anyone right now is in any position to be saying to certain people, look, I can come in, I can deal with this Manchester United mess on my own, I don't need any help. Look, he needs all the help he can get. It's as simple as that. And if he's got someone there like Van Nistelrooy, we've said it many a times, he is willing to just sit back and help. He doesn't want to take his job. He's not looking to take his job or move forward or up the ladder at Manchester United. He knows he cannot manage this football club or coach this team as a head coach. He knows where he's at in his development. Ruben Amorim is way down the line in terms of experience, know-how, tactics, what he's won, dealing with certain players, dealing with situations. Look, he's ready to go. He's ready to make this move. Van Nistelrooy is just not ready or prepared for it to take it on himself. And I feel like with him being in that position, not wanting to, let's say, step on toes, you've got to take that on. And I think he'll be there till the rest of the season. And then I think he'll move on and take another role. I think he'll gain experience from the rest of this season. And like he said in interviews, like he's had managerial jobs there offered to him already. They're on a plate for him. And there will be someone that takes Van Nistelrooy. 100% guaranteed. There'll be someone out there that takes him. And at the end of the season, I think we'll see Van Nistelrooy going. I'm going to come into the chat. Thank you for all the likes. Well over 100 already. Please keep liking the video. Make sure you have subscribed as well. We've got Flash Talks in the Super Chats already. Thank you. The players wants him as babysitter to get rid. To get rid? So get rid. Right. So Flash Talk says get rid of him because the players want him as a babysitter. I don't see it that way. I know what you're saying. It's just cut everything off. Complete fresh start. But at the start of the season, everybody was happy with Van Nistelrooy coming in. That professionalism and that respect that he has got. Like, there'll be people that are looking at Ruben Amorim, and there will be players in this squad that look at him and go, yeah, and what have you done in the game? And it's disrespectful, I know, and it's stupid to even say because, let's be honest, all these players have been failing recently. But what you've got there in Van Nistelrooy is a man that demands respect. Yes, his message has not been coming across because we know it was Ten Hag final say. All of his coaches have said the same. You can give him the input, but at the end of the day, it's all about what he wants from this team. And we've seen Van Nistelrooy arguing with Erik Ten Hag in different moments and disagreements, and his frustration showing. Like, he is one of them players that demands professionalism. And that's something that, sadly, we cannot say we've had at Manchester United over the last few years. And I feel like someone there with that stature, who is backing Ruben as well, and then players then looking onto that, I feel like that's where it works for me. And I think this ultimately will be, look, If you don't like Ruben's style, this is the United players, that is. If they don't like Ruben Amorim's style, if they don't like the way he trains or what he wants from these players, then he's not going. Then players are not going to get any help or bailout from any of the other coaches. And Van Nistelrooy is not going to either. He's just going to demand more from them. And I feel like he is doing it now. He's getting that respect now. And if he is on board with Amorim coming in, I feel like most of the players will be as well. And I think that's the best way I could sort of look at it as a positive for United going forward. I think that's how Manchester United have to move forward. Ultimately, it is Amorim's say. And if he goes, he goes. I'm not bothered either way. Like, we move on and it's a fresh start. I'm just happy that the head coach is coming in and we've got someone of Ruben Amorim's quality coming into Manchester United. And if Van Nistelrooy stays, it's a bonus. It's a bonus. It's no real big thing if he does go, because Ruben's been proven with his coaching staff to get the best out of players everywhere he's been. So we've got to trust in that, and I think that's what Ineos are doing as well. I just feel like for this short space of time, I think it's worth working with Van Nistelrooy and making this happen. And it's just my opinion on that. But from everything that's been said, I feel like we've got an opportunity to build something quite quickly at Manchester United. And if it needs turning around quickly, in terms of Amorim needing to get results straight away, Van Nistelrooy is probably more of a help than a hindrance. And that's how I would go with it. Let's get into the chat anyway. I can just, clear my throat then. Jeez, talking too much. Almac says that they should never have extended Erik ten Hag and given him another 200 million transfers. That was a mistake. Yeah, look, it's a mistake. It's gone. We have to move past it. There's nothing we can do now with what's happening with what's gone before with Ten Hag. It's just simply like time to move forward. Let's just cut it off here. What's gone before is gone. We have to work from this point and move forward. Ineos dropped a clanger. They've rectified it. It's cost us. And now we have to rebuild and work even harder to try and get back up there. So we have to use whatever we've got at our disposal to get up there. And I feel like Van Nistelrooy still being there will definitely help us. Sell Rashford, Garnacho, Shaw, Bruno, sell them all. I wouldn't sell Garnacho, definitely not. Sim says, you've only got to look at our players. As soon as they're in competition, they start sulking. As soon as there is competition. A few more coming in. We've got a couple of super chats as well. Sorry, I think my throat is actually going a little bit. What worries me is the players want Ruud and Fletcher as a connector to Ashworth and Wilcox. If they don't go, if it doesn't go their way, rather than be a connector to Amorim. Right, I get what you're saying, Glenn. So if things go wrong and they don't like it, they will use Van Nistelrooy and Fletcher as a method to get across to Ashworth. Is that what you're saying in terms of getting the manager out? Right, so yeah, use Fletcher and Amorim to get to Ashworth and Wilcox if they're not happy with Amorim, rather than using them to get across to Amorim. Look, I don't think Amorim totally... I don't think it all depends on Van Nistelrooy staying for the success of Amorim. I think he's more than capable of dealing with these players without Van Nistelrooy. I just feel like Van Nistelrooy staying is a different ball game. Look, we cannot say that any of the bad traits that Manchester United have had over the last few decades are down to or linked with Ruud Van Nistelrooy in any way, shape or form. He has been through the door, 2 minutes, and everything that's come from him is a positive. Look, he's taken over the job as interim manager. He's done all right so far. We've actually seen him questioning Ten Hag on the bench, the first assistant to come in and actually stand up to Ten Hag. The players respect him. They have to respect him because of what he's won and what he's done. He knows what Manchester United is. He knows what this club is all about. So I think you're always going to get that respect for him there. But I feel like Van Nistelrooy is different to everything that's gone before. Look, I might be completely wrong. It might just be the same old, even with Van Nistelrooy there. But from what I've seen and how much influence Van Nistelrooy has in the open training sessions we've been to, the vibe and how everything is around Manchester United, look, there's a lot more positive than there was before well, Van Nistelrooy's there. It's not solely him, but there is a definite effort from Manchester United to change the culture and the way that things are at Manchester United. Thanks for the super chat, Glenn, by the way. A couple more to get through. You got Rawls has just dropped a super chat in. Amorim should be able to look at these players and figure out who works for him and who doesn't without Ruud's help. It was great having Ruud back, but he was connected to the wrong man. Fair point, you got Rose. Totally get that. It's still the Ten Hag factor with Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Ten Hag did bring him in. I just feel like Ruud's been tarnished with the Ten Hag brush. I feel like I just said there, I feel like Van Nistelrooy even realised that it was going wrong with Ten Hag. And I think he was saying things, personally. It looks like he was trying to put his impression across. And Ten Hag was just having none of it. He was stubborn, wasn't he? Greg has come in with the super chats. The audacity of a set of players who have consistently failed the club, thinking that we need their input. The same players who won't think twice about not going in the summer without a big payout. See, this is what you get to when it comes to these players and opinions from the fan base. They have built the relationship up with the fans, and they have just thrown it in the bin, I feel. And this is where fans, I feel, are at right now. They just don't care. They don't want to give the players anything at all. And that is the biggest problem in all of this. That is the serious issue that we've got right now. It's the players. And I understand this point. I would personally keep Van Nistelrooy on for 6 months, but the argument that I'm getting coming back at me, which is valid, completely valid, is if there's anything to help these players out, anything at all that will help these players out, then get rid of it. I get it. That's the message I'm getting across and how I'm reading it right now. It's like, sorry, you've got that comfort blanket of a Fletcher, of a Van Nistelrooy. I want that gone. I want that gone and out of here. I won't want to give these players any excuse. Let's just throw them right into the drill sergeant and give them a hard time, and let's see how they cope. This is how much fans have fallen out of love with these players. And they don't want to give them any leeway. They don't want to give them any second chances or any way out of this. I totally get the argument. I really do. I just feel like Van Nistelrooy is a little bit different. A little bit different, is he not? But I still get it. Like, you got me stuck. Like, you are actually putting up a really good argument. The super chats have been bang on the money there. And I have to take that conversation on. And I do get it. I understand it. I wish I could talk forever and a day and carry this debate on. I really do. One more super chat in from Gia says, what if the players and Ruud survives Amorim? Again, I get it. Another good point. It's not going to continue working unless Amorim is backed by Ineos. These players are sieved out, sold in the summer if they're not working under Amorim's system. I've said this all along, consistently, all of the time. And this is the biggest problem. To round it up on the debate and the argument, it is like, look, we've got plenty of positives to keep Van Nistelrooy in at Manchester United, but there is a big, big argument to just say, cut your losses, let's just draw the line right there and let's move on. Because it wants to be a fresh start. It has to be Ruben Amorim's way, and we don't want these players to have that comfort blanket that they've always had. Get rid of the old staff and the old players, a lot of fans are saying right now. The poll and where we're at, keep Van Nistelrooy or move him on. 57% of you are saying keep. I'm just going to end that poll there. Sadly, we are going to end the show there as well, everybody, because I've got the school run to do. Needs must. I'm afraid, everybody, we're going to have to cut it short. We'll continue the debate later on. We have more content coming up, as always. Thank you so much for all of your messages. The super chats, absolutely loved that. Mods and members for helping out in the chat. Really do appreciate you all. Make sure that you do put a video on the like before you leave the room, and make sure that you have hit that subscribe button as well. Check out the other content on your screen right now as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being part of the show this morning. I will be back later on today. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, stay notified. And